Vamos para el campo.
Welcome everyone to the virtual release of land liberation
Bueno, el
legislation
terreno que está ahí de la casa para
and formerly housing
es que ya traían problemas
disabled
de
adults and elder co-founders of the landless
área,
people's movement
y al final
known
nadie
as
lo reclamó, ni la secundaria ni la primaria, pero este terreno era de un señor que se llama Cristóbal.
If we can have,
Y el señor lo andaba haciendo,
if you're not going to be talking right
Yes,
now, can we have you mute your
pero no se lo
microphone,
querían dejar.
please, and thank you.
Leroy, that's you.
Okay. We present this in MLK weekend to reclaim Dr. King's radical legacy because of all of this work, listening, pain, and working to resist poverty all across Mama Earth. Please help us unsell Mama Earth.
So, and again, thank you, Brother Leroy, in remembering the spirit of Reverend Martin Luther King, who also spoke against racism. And towards the end, of losing Brother Martin Luther King, he also spoke of the poor people's campaign. And he also made those connections about the poverty being suffered here through our folks in the U.S., and also the poverty of our brothers in Vietnam, which at that time, the Vietnam War was happening. And again, I support people trying to build this landless movement called homefulness, all of us coming from poverty. I wanna make the connection of this beautiful event. The Martin Luther King also said, right, those folks in Vietnam have the resources, in the US going in there and spilling, empowering the people who are there. And the same thing we believe is happening here in the US. The resources are there, the housing is there, but the powers that be take those resources and create the poverty that a lot of the Black and brown folks are in now.
Okay, so the motto here is on homefulness, and I just want to speak about the time that we're living in now. The time we're living in now calls for drastic change, not mediocre change, not what the doing class want, but what we want. And Poor Magazine has been doing those drastic changes since the 90s, and homefulness is one of those changes that need to be brought up in all communities across the country. So, yeah, Tiny?
So yeah, we're poverty scholars, poets, welfare queens, us all W capital Q. We are cultural workers, land liberators, and we teach and share and we live trauma from this colonization. But you know what? This is stolen land. And so every day we also redefine who's a builder, who's an architect, who's a liberator, who's an activist, and who's an organizer. It's the good daughters and sons. It's our folks who walk humbly on Mama Earth. It's my Mama D and Uncle Al and all poverty scholars across Mama Earth who you don't see and maybe don't even hear from. So our goals in this legislation is to actually lift up the voices of all of us, people who are never heard and seen, people who are intentionally kept out, left out, shut out, and stepped on. So we are also visionaries. And above all, we are clear that our solutions to our problems are the answer. We don't want to be saved and helped because we say change won't come from a savior, a pimp, or an institution. Change will only come from a poor people-led revolution. And so we start by introducing just a small piece of a huge, powerful community that is Poor Magazine, the Liberated Villages of Homefulness and Decolonized Academy. Again, there are just a few of us you get to meet today, but before we go any further, let's make sure we all get introduced. Leroy?
I'm the Black Cripple, marching with my black disabled ancestors from Harry Tubman to Jim Crow. We will always be here, in your family, on the streets, in-house, out-housing, the Black Cripple, making you remember what's possible.
Muteado, silencio, presente y me alegro. We didn't cross the border, the borders crossed us. Muteado, silencio, presente y me alegro.
No nonprofit organizer could speak for the Pope. No college professor could speak for the Pope. I could speak for the Pope because I'm on the Pope. Got my head, I'm on the broke on this block. You see me because I own less than you. You diss me, these slums, mine. Frustration, mine. This thirst, mine. Starvation, mine. These wants, mine. These tears, mine. This faith and fears, mine. They're with me all the time. No president is mine, and neither is his government. They straight represent the class hate I resent. I don't count the institutions of power. I don't count to a racist coward. Picture me not once worshiping their flag, as long as they continue to deny its slag. No news reporter can speak for the Poe. No social worker can speak for the Poe. I can speak for the Poe because I'm on the Poe. Got my head, I'm on the broke on this block. You see me, D. Allen, East Oakland, California.
Come on, D.
I am that poverty scholar, that houseless mom and that houseless daughter. I am that poverty scholar, all those people you don't want to see, you never want to be. Look away from me. What you gonna do, arrest me? Yeah, we in your city. I'm a poverty scholar, and I rock my jailhouse attire, not because orange is the new black or any crack that Hollywood will sell you. Don't believe that. It's because people like me are invisible to the rest of the city, and they'd rather put us in those cages and places where we can't be seen, can't be heard. I am a poverty scholar, the melanin challenged daughter of a strong Afro-Boricua mama, for without whom there would be no me, a mama soltera and a welfare queen. Israel Munoz, resident of Poor Magazine and Homefulness.
How you doing? Israel Munoz. I used to be homeless till Poor Magazine gave me the opportunity to build a little piece apartment down there. There's a lot. And here I am, still working on it and, helping in the ways I can.
Israel Muniz, resident of Homefulness since August 9th, 2020.
Ashe, as we be building homes for each other and for our community to actually solve our own problems. Moving on to our powerful youth poverty scholars. Amir, take it away.
I'm Amir. I am the student of the Connors Academy and son of Aji Candy Corn.
Tibu.
Hey y'all, I'm Tibu. I'm a student of Decana's Academy, a resident of Homefulness, and yeah, I'm gonna be the one who's sharing the screens today. Thank you.
Zaire, youth scholar.
My name is Zaire, and I'm a Decolonized Academy student.
Akil.
My name is Akil, and I'm another Decolonized Academy student.
Whee! Kimo Umu, are you there?
I am. Hi. I'm Kimo Umu. I go to Decolonized Academy. I'm a student there. Yeah. Nice to meet you all and see y'all. For my friends, good to see you again. For those who are new, nice to meet you.
Whee! Beautiful Kimo. Amin Ra, youth scholar.
No, you don't have to do anything.
Hi, my name is Amara Lewis, and I'm a member of the Decolonized Academy, and I'm my mom's son, Nika Blue.
Teacher Jason.
Morning, everyone. I'm Teacher Jason. I teach math and I'm around for some of the administrative duties at the school. Glad to see everyone here.
Maestro.
Whee! Is Fabian here with us? Okay, so we're gonna move on to beautiful mama, sister, teacher, Mama Blue.
Mama Blue.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tanika Blue, also affectionately known as Mama Blue, a proud member of Poor Magazine, also a teacher with Decolonize Academy, and here to offer prayer for our beautiful time here together as we really band together and hold this practice of land liberation, this way of being of land liberation, and continue to uplift the people that are doing the work and inviting more to join us to do the work.
Ashe. We're gonna come right back to you. Is Jeremy Miller in the house or Pearl Ubungin?
I'm here. Happy to be here with y'all. Jeremy Miller, poor family member at large in occupied Yalamu, and just proud to be here, proud and happy to be here amongst so many beautiful land liberators and people's warriors.
Whee!
Okay.
Is Mama Audrey Candy Corn with y'all? It's okay. She could come in if you're not. It's all good.
No, she's downstairs doing her
okay,
meditation.
Okay, and is Pearl Ubungin there?
Hey. Hi, Pearl Bungin, calling from San Francisco.
Hey, Pearl.
Love you all. I'm sometimes teacher at Decolonize. I support the work of Mama D and Tiny and everyone at Homefulness. And I'm here for support. I'm here to support. And yeah.
Ashe.
Be here.
Ashe. And is Sister Momi here, comrade and poverty scholar with Poor and Self-Help Hunger Program?
Hi, everybody. My name is Momi. I work with Self-Help Hunger Program. We don't just feed the homeless, we feed the hungry. Thank you, everybody.
I say, okay, so we're gonna hear from Sister Nora later. She's also another Poor Magazine family, but I'm gonna turn it back to Mama Blue. We're gonna be doing, tell Steve what we're gonna be doing before Mama Blue comes on.
We will begin today's presentation with prayer for this occupied Ohlone Lashan land we are humbly working to liberate.
And libations with Mama Blue. Go ahead, Mama.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and being here with us today. We are a multi-nation, multi-generation organization and family, land liberating and reclaiming the resources that we deserve equally to have access to. So today we offer a multi-spiritual offering of prayer. We offer a prayer for the land, we offer a prayer for the people, and we offer a prayer for the work that is being done every day. If you can get comfortable and just ground yourself. Something that unifies us all is the breath. So I'd like for you to take this time to take a deep breath. And we're going to take one more breath together. Ashe. Divine Creator, Governor of all of the universe, we ask that you be with us on this day of acknowledging what is, acknowledging that your children need safe shelter, that your children need food, that your children need love, that your children need medical care, that your children deserve to be tended to in equal ways according to what their immediate needs are. We lift you all up that are here with us on this call and all that come with you, because we are never alone. We acknowledge our ancestors. And as we all gather here today, we are gathered together by the millions. Please allow this work that we are doing to not be overlooked by paperwork, because of paperwork and the intention to gain monetary means over the lives of human beings. We acknowledge you, we love you, and we thank you. As we burn this sage, may it reach you each where you are, in love, in devotion. Ashe, Aho, Omateo, Shalom, and so it shall be. Oh.
I just wanted to add too that Sister Karina, I don't think she's here. She is not able to be with us, but she's one of our family elders from the Lishan Ohlone Nation, to acknowledge that we are on occupied Lishan Ohlone land in the occupied village of Uchin. Many of us are over in the occupied village of Yalamu, and for all of you in all of the spaces and places that you're tuning in from and watching, to send prayer and love to your land stewards and ancestors of your occupied lands, as everything that we are doing today and every day is about giving Mama Earth back to herself and to all of us and to the ancestors of this genocide called American. Roy, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So what is poverty scholarship and who are poverty scholars? We are houseless, disabled, police harassed, incarcerated, border people whose knowledge comes from our experiences, not a book or a study or a survey or a thesis. This is lived knowledge, knowledge of struggle. We are the experts on our own lives. Middle?
Yes, thank you, Leroy. What is Poor Magazine? Poor Magazine is a poor people, indigenous-led movement, building, manifesting something different, working to build a landland houseless people solution to homelessness, what we call homefulness.
And what is homefulness? Well, first of all, it's the first time in this homeless mama and daughter's life when I've actually had a roof. So I'm just gonna get real about that. If you've had the trauma of being on the street since 11 years old, like I have, and so many of my fellow brothers and sisters coming from trauma into trauma, that trauma doesn't end because we get a crumb from EBT, the government, or a philanthropist or a non-profiteer. For the first time in this homeless mama and daughter's life, me and my son have a roof. That's what homefulness is. It's a homeless people's solution to homelessness. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be showing a couple really quick videos, and then we are going to actually really unpack what we're trying to do here today. And what you're seeing actually is the beginning of the groundbreaking of the land, the sacred land that us houseless, formerly houseless, migrante, bordered, indigenous, disabled, in struggle people call homefulness. When we came here, because scam lordization is real, the quote unquote property owner next door actually told us we couldn't do what we were doing. They called us the crackheads and the homeless people, and then we needed to leave. And that isn't, sadly, really that surprising, because as we know, the way people think of poor people, the way they think of houseless people is that we don't have agency, we don't have ideas, and we certainly don't have solutions. But from day one, we started healing Mama Earth, which is a crucial part of this notion of homelessness, because we know that she's been desecrated in so many ways, not only from colonial genocide, but from corpse rape, poison. And so what you're watching is the building of Pachamama Garden, where we actually built gardens, and the youth scholars and mama scholars and uncle scholars built gardens to feed the neighborhood. Because if you're not moving like colonizers, the first thing you do is ask, what does the neighborhood need? So that's what was happening, and that's what you're watching. The unselling of Mama Earth is what this is about. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. But when we're talking about liberation, land, and legislation in the same sentence, what we're talking about is infiltrating politics to make sure that Mama Earth is unsold. Unselling Mama Earth spiritually and legally is an extremely complicated concept, actually, within Southern colonial codes, because everything that's on the quote-unquote books, i.e., you know, the codes and laws that we live with since the original theft of Turtle Island, supports, enables, and creates a setting to profit off the buying and selling of Mama Earth. So it's been our goal from day one to actually activate a concept of unselling. For all of you out there who are organizers, who might be in this work, we have some bad news for you. Land trusts are also a lie. They always have an expiration date. They're still created within the codes and the systems of Southern colonial lies about Mama Earth. And I know that as organizers, that's all we have. So no disrespect, this is said with love. This was said with an invitation and a calling in to join us in a movement to actually, spiritually and legally unsell Mama Earth. In a few more minutes, we'll be hearing the Mama Festo. You know, we like to mess with the colonizers' language. So the Mama Festo, AKA People's Agreement, is one of the many ways that we're spiritually and legally working on that. And I want to shout out to Christine Hernandez and Janelle Orsi and all the powerful works, powerful revolutionary legal folks who are also helping us at STILT, Sustainable Law Center in Oakland, because we know that we also have to work within the laws, or the lies, as we call them, to unlie them, right? And so that's the goal, one of the main goals of this legislation today. And we'll be talking a little bit more about what it looks like to try to build as poor people in occupied land. Moot?
Yes. Thank you, Sister Tiny. And again, one of the things that we're doing these legislations is not only to support what Homefulness and Poor Magazine is doing, but support other poor people left movement who want to create. We know that there's a need of housing here, not only in the Bay Area, throughout the U.S. And again, reminding what Martin Luther King is, the resources are here, the empty buildings are here. And so we want to create legislation that will make it easier also for organizations like Moms for Housing. So if they want to acquire something, and again, one of the things that we make sure to do here at Poor Magazine is that we couldn't be, we support, the work of Brother Bruce, who did 10 years, 15 years of squatting. But when we have children, when we have single mothers, when we have single fathers with children, we know what happened when squatting, that they will send the sheriff and the pigs to empty a building if they need to. And so we didn't want to take the chance with that happening to our children, to our families. So we went and took off this land after market. We did a land blessing with the Ohlone folks here in the Bay Area. And again, so we want this legislation not only to help projects like Poor Magazine, and we find out that the permits, again, the whole building department is catered to developers who are taking over the Bay Area. And again, for us, is the resources are there. Why don't you make it easy for poor people to be building and be self-determined and build our shelters? We also align ourselves with a lot of our poverty folks who are building their own encampments, we recognize as builders. We want to also include that they stop destroying the encampments, stop destroying people's tiny houses or whatever shelter we build.
And we also just want to say that the key part about this too is that this is not a legislation, as we often call many of the ways that politricksters and wealth hoarders create laws and codes to get rid of people like us. We want to shout out that there are the powerful work of not only our sister warriors and Moms for Housing, but House the Bay in San Francisco and Coalition on Homelessness, to the mamas in South Los Angeles, to Tacoma Housing Now in so-called Washington, and our powerful comrades from the Poor People's Army and occupied Lenape Territory, Philadelphia, who refuse to continue to accept that it's okay for disabled elders and children and babies and communities and mamas and daddies to be on these cold streets in a pandemic, to shout out politricksters like the one we have in occupied Yalamu and in occupied Uchen, who continue sweeps even in a pandemic, even in the middle of winter, that we call out, that we did our most recent Stolen Land Hoarded Resources tour in occupied Yalamu as they were proceeding with evictions of shelter in place motel residents who were already houseless. How do you do that? And I want to call in our sister Momi from Self-Help Hunger Program and Poor Magazine with our sister Auntie Frances, who in fact just has this critique of the way that building itself is heteropatriarchal and white and rooted in racist, classist notions of what it means to be a builder, who can be an architect, who even has access, because we call them developers. Momi?
Hi, everybody. I live off of Broadway near Grocery Outlet. And if you're not from Oakland, you would not be quite aware of the development that has gone on in a massive, extended way of over 50 blocks on the main drag of downtown and outside the areas. And all of these places are built to support, I'm going to say, newcomers to Oakland who have no clue of the history of Oakland, the Black communities of Oakland, the nearby areas of community support that are dwindling. I want to say that this legislature move is no easy battle. We're dealing with a real racist system. As you can notice, there's just luxury condos that weren't meant for people like you and me. And we're fighting right now the rent with a number of real estate developers and landlords that all can't just wait to get us evicted and take our money at the same time.
Ashe. Thank you, Momi. And again, we want to be clear. This is a legislation, not a legislation, right? But what does that even mean? So we're going to go back and forth in terms of some of the facts, and we're going to have our youth scholars read the People's Agreement, Manifesto, so that people know where this is rooted in, how we actually make agreements together to take care of Mama Earth, not to buy and sell her. But I do want to name that in this concept of this land liberation legislation, what we're saying is that it's for projects only who house very low and no income communities. And for those of you who do not know, because this is the work that POOR does in terms of our revolutionary media, Poor People Led Media, because this is what's happened to us. Shout out to Sister Queen Nandi Exshaba.
Good morning.
Shout out to our sister Junebug. Shout out to our Mama Linda and Chemo and so many more. That project housing, as us poor people knew it, that was there for the very poorest among us, is no longer anywhere in America because of a benignly named gentrification legislation called RAD, put in under the Democon government of Obama. You know, we don't even need the Cheeto to steal Mama Earth. We've got the Democons. But anyway, Julian Castro, along with a lot of non-profiteers, created a thing called RAD. And for those of you who don't know, and a shout out to Western Regional Advocacy Project, to our warriors, Paul Bowden, to so many more, check on raphome.org for all the powerful research that they do. We call it research, poor people-led research. But the point is they passed this thing called RAD, which basically meant that all project housing was sold on the stock exchange as a commodity. And so all those poor people housing that we used to have for the poorest of the poor is no longer there. Now it's mixed income, it's hiding behind a lot of codes, behind a lot of applications, a lot of lies to get in, your credit, all of these things. And essentially, people got their hand in the cookie jar. When we say non-profiteers, we're talking about big non-profiteers who quietly sign off on these things because then they know they can get funding for it from philanthropists. So I say this to say, this legislation, this land liberation legislation is very clear that it is only for projects that house 100% of poor and houseless folks on all those ways that they're called, the AMI and the BMR and the whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. No, we're talking about the poorest of the poor. And we're talking about what we practice here at Homefulness, number one, which is we do not, I want to repeat this, we do not practice the lie of rent. Rent is a lie. Nobody pays rent here. What we do is we pay a contribution to the expenses with absolutely nothing on the top. And that ranges right now, depending on what we've got going and how many people are living here. Right now, we have the first 6 residents. You're seeing 4 of us here. There's 6 formerly houseless residents of this land right now. And we pay a contribution to the taxes required and the settler colonial lies, to the garbage, to the utilities, and that range is about a little less than $300 a month. And then if you don't have that money at all, we do what's called poor people sweat equity. So that's a longer story, but I want to be very clear that this is not a gentrifucker enabler legislation, okay? And we're very, very clear about that. And so that's the work as well, is to keep it real and to keep it true. So we're actually gonna read, yeah, so this is UD. We're gonna be reading a little of the People's Agreement. Go ahead, Dee.
We will be reading an excerpt from the Manifesto or the People's Agreement, beginning with Youth Poverty Scholars from the Liberation School that happens at Homefulness, called Decolonize Academy.
Amir, that's you, babe.
Okay. On the People's Agreement, what I'm supposed to do right now?
Oh, so you don't have that on you, huh?
Yeah, I don't have it on me.
Your email. Tivu, do you have the email that you can share the screen of the People's Agreement?
Yeah.
Hold up one sec. If not, okay, because if not, we can get it, but I think he can bring it up. And that crazy picture you're looking at is us at Homefulness 2, which was a beautiful day in history. We're liberating another small piece. Okay, there you go, Amir. Can you see that, hon?
Okay. We will. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. We will be reading the draft manifesto commitment to unsell for Homefulness that all of us have been co-writing together since we began unselling Mama Earth here at 8032 Black Arthur in Deep East Oakland.
Cool. Thank you, Amir. Chemo.
You're welcome.
Uh-oh, is Chemo there? If not, then Amir could read the next one. Can you see the next one, Amir?
Yeah, I can. You want me to read that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I understand that the historical, how you say that? Historic document heretofore known as the People Argument is routed in the 525-year struggle of all of the co-founders, resistance, and future residents.
Who are landless, indigenous, houseless, Po, and criminalized people who have suffered white supremacy, forced diaspora, chattel slavery, border hate, different forms of abuse, violence, removal, gentrification, racism, hatred, incarceration, profiling, and/or multiple forms of systems / institutional abuse in the stolen indigenous land the colonizers call the U.S.
T-Bill?
I understand that this, the People's Agreement, is a sacred document not held together by armed agents of the state, police, military, etc., but by each other, poor folks working together, self-determined, with humility and love.
Akil?
I understand that by signing it, by agreeing to live here on the sacred land we call homefulness, you are making a commitment to your fellow human, animal, and land to follow the rules of respect stated here, as well as the agreements listed below.
Zaire?
I understand that this document is grounded in the Declaration of Interdependence created in 2009 at the Revolutionary Change session and the Manifesto for Change created by Mama D and Tiny in 1996, along with Volume 1 of Poor magazine entitled Homefulness, a poor people-led solution to houselessness.
We are stewards of the land. We, the landless, indigenous, poor peoples who launched Homefulness, and the children and children's and children's and children's of original founders of Homefulness and generations beyond, do not own Mama Earth. And I just want to repeat that. Do not own Mama Earth. None of us who live here own this land, but because this land and all of us exist within a capitalist system who will easily take a certain amount of bloodstained dollars to evict us, displace us, or remove us, we also understand that there needs to be some entity on paper that owns the land, or it will be stolen by more government gangsters and developers. For that reason, we are creating a series of documents and entities to protect the land and its stewards from current or future removal, development, or gentrification. And one of the other pieces around that is one of the really terrifying things that we learned is that the laws on the books, i.e. the lies on the settler colonial books, actually encourage, enable, and create a system that makes removal, gentrifying, and displacement not only possible, but almost demanded. So when we say the children's of children, what we're trying to say is that anyone who moves here not only has permanent housing for their lifetime, but their children's children have permanent housing, because there is no someone leaves and then they sell their share. All the systems are in place to continue to buy and sell Mama Earth. And if you actually are working to unsell Mama Earth, you actually have to move a completely different way. Our youth scholars actually led a powerful project called Hoarded Mama Earth, where they did what we call research to find out what was happening to our poor people of color, blighted neighborhoods. Tibu?
Yeah, so in Decolonize Academy, one of the things that we worked on a while back was a way to find out which lots on Black Arthur, which is the MacArthur corridor as many know it, and find out which lots were abandoned or not being used and be able to unsell them, take them off of that hoarded real estate market and be able to donate them and be able to use them as templates of homefulness for the people of this community. So they're benefiting the people of this community. So we went to those lots and then we went to the tax assessor's office where we figured out who owned them and how we can get in contact with them. And by using our Bank of Community Reparations, we were able to unsell one lot out of that entire series of lots.
Amir, you wanted to add anything about the tax assessors or who they were?
I'm gonna just say this. Me and my classmates, we did a report because in East Oakland you could see a lot of empty lots and slots because we want to make a second homefulness and we want to spread our horizon and connect with other people. And we went to the tax assessors, just like people said. We saw who owns the slots, try to get in contact with them. Some of them answered, some of them did. But at least we got one lot that we not own, but we are using to build a second homefulness.
Beautiful, beautiful. Does Zaire or Akil or Kimo want to add anything to that? It was a powerful report led by the youth. You don't have to, it's all good, unless you want to. Okay. I just want to be real about Decolonize Academy. All of our young people are houseless, formerly houseless, evicted, displaced youth and families. This is current and connected to their experience. The work that they do, the learning that they do is about figuring out how to uncolonize not only their minds, but their community's minds. Teacher Jason, do you want to say a little bit more about what Decolonize Academy does?
Certainly. Well, Decolonize Academy is an unorthodox school. It is a small school. Right now we have 7 students. But recently we have helping for 4 elder students in their last year, in their year of graduating.
Exactly. Beautiful job. And I just want to give extra love to Teacher Jason, who bottom lines and runs the school, and all of the mama and uncle scholars and teachers. One of the things that we practice as we're unselling Mama Earth is how to lift up our first teachers, our ancestors, our mamas. I also want to lift up our powerful uncle teachers like Teacher Jason and Israel Munoz and Dee Allen and Uncle Mutiado Silencio, Teo, so many other folks that for all of our lives, we're called maybe, inept or unable. We're not considered teachers. Lifting up Uncle Leroy as one of the key teachers, Prolu Bunyan, Jeremy Miller, and our powerful teacher scholar, Joey Villarreal, JV. I don't know if Free Aslan is on here, but all the love to powerful JV and his work. And then all as well, on this land, just like our brothers and sisters in the Zapatistas, we also have Poor People's Revolutionary Radio. That's PNNKEXU, and I lift up Brother Weston and Gerald Smith and Bilal and so many more. Crip Hop Radio and Poor People's Revolutionary Radio, Free Aslan, and all of this powerful media. Because if we're actually lifting up our voices, we're also lifting up our solutions. So just want to lift up the youth on that. But as we move on to today, and I know that we have some other powerful speakers, we want to also lift up the words of our fellow scholars on the street. Poor People's Radio has been doing work called Roofless Radio. That's ROOF, Roofless. Because many of our brothers and sisters are still on the street. Many of us in Poor Magazine are still on the street because we haven't been able to unsell more of Mama Earth. And recently in Oakland, they have this evil thing that was unanimously voted on, even by the so-called conscious legislators, called an encampment ban, which our youth scholars wrote about in their current issue of Decolon News. Get your copy. It's a powerful newspaper. Shout out to them and all of the scholars. But we're going to be watching a couple videos right now that show the violence called sweeps that so many of us are still dealing with on the street. And then we're going to be bringing in our sister Crystal Rose Sanchez. I hope you're here from Sacramento Homeless Union to be speaking as well.
Before I turn on the videos, can everyone who isn't speaking please mute themselves so we can hear the videos?
Yeah,
in
go
their
ahead.
entirety?
Put the sound on.
Okay, thank you so much.
We can't hear that, Kibu. Sorry, guys, technical difficulty.
You can't hear it at all? I'm sorry about
No.
that. Okay, sorry. Let me try one more time.
You might have to
Yeah,
unshare it and then reshare it.
got it. I'm so sorry about that. Oh, here we go. Let's see if this works now. Sorry about that, y'all.
There you go. What do you think of this horrible encampment ban, Pam?
Oh, I can't believe they're gonna make being broke and having no place to go a crime. That's just horrific. I mean, that's classism to the extreme.
You know? And
It's just
unanimously voted, even by the so-called progressive politricksters. So where are we supposed to go, right?
Exactly. So basically, we're voted out of the county.
That part. Yeah.
So.
And we're not, well, so what they're saying is specifically that we can't be by schools or homes. Okay, but I get that. But then they're saying we can't even be by certain stores, and then we can't be by this. Basically, we can't be by anything. So how are we supposed to live?
And they're not making the housing, any more available than before. In fact, it's less available than before.
That part.
You know, even to get into housing, they prejudice against you if you're already homeless. You know, instead of helping you, they prejudice against you.
So
you know,
real.
if you're coming from another place, you can get in a place, but if you're coming from the streets, they don't want you.
That part. How long have you been houseless, hon? Or in your car?
Since 1989, since I got here, but I've been even before that, so.
Right.
Do you want me to show the next video?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Fillmore. So it get real rough on the streets because the concrete is not kind to anybody. I mean, young, old, however that it is, because that wear and tear on you, it just winds up catching up to you. And it was one of them situations where they was coming around offering the hotel. And I said, hey, that's right up actually since just my alley. This is actually just my first time being actually homeless. I'm 52 years old and I was homeless for a good, 5 years. And then I got this opportunity here, which I think that they was doing wonderful, coming us in to pick us up from the tents and they were cleaning up us in just the city, and that was wonderful. And now everything just been rolling pretty smooth. And it's like the 18-month span was right on time. That wound up giving everybody time to heal some from the street, you know. And you know, to kind of get yourself together. Everybody surrounded just their lives around that 18 months, though. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody had to sign their paperwork. 18 months, and it ain't been 8 months yet. And they like, oh, we want the hotel now. And that's just all the way wrong, man, because I'm quite sure all of us signed all just informed. They had to sign something also on their end. And there's no way in any shape, fashion, or form in California you cannot brief no contract. That's right. So,
next video.
Yep.
Okay. Here we go.
So I'm sitting here with a powerful poverty scholar, currently housed with one of the Poor Magazine family. Would you tell us your opinion on the ongoing attack on our houseless bodies when we're on these streets, and what you think of the, quote, encampment policy by the city of Oakland?
If there's a sort of policy going on encampment, our ancestors told the system that our land is not for sale. We must be able to live on our land. We cannot be restricted from parts of our land. Our walkabout is our walkabout, and you cannot change it. We still live on our land. And to restrict us to certain areas would dogmate the whole system of intolerable living for the humans that were originally here. And you cannot take our land to tell us that we have to have policies and we have to have certain times and limitations and policies that's going to direct us to not be able to freely move about, and our walkabout is wrong. Sitting Bull said our land is not for sale.
Oh my dear. Thank you.
And real quick before we continue, if you want to continue any of these videos and much more, they are on Poor News Network, our YouTube channel. When you go into YouTube in the search bar, type up Poor News Network. Thank you, everybody.
We are bringing up our comrade, poverty scholar, Crystal Rose Sanchez from Sacramento Houseless Union. Let folks know the insane violence of sweeps they're dealing with right now.
Sister is having trouble getting on these technical streets. Real talk, Zoom, and all this malarkey is digital divide, hard on our digital divided souls. It's also hard on our young peoples, and she may not make it on because, yeah, all of us are struggling. I want to lift up the work of Sacramento Homeless Union. I want to lift up the insane reality that all across occupied Turtle Island, and you're seeing a picture of the Poor People's Army. Shout out to our brothers and sisters out in occupied Lenape territory, Philly, birthplace of my mama D, serious hardcore poverty scholar, and of course Mumia and many other warriors out there. Move 9, Move Africa, which we actually align ourselves with, along with the Shack Dwellers Union in South Africa, as landless peoples of all nations and all generations, taking back this occupied land so that we can all be safe and we can all be housed. But anyway, as you know, just because you put a roof on it, it doesn't take the trauma away of this colonial genocide and of the position of being unhoused for years on our bodies, our souls, and our minds. But in Sacramento right now, Stockton Boulevard warriors, who are all poverty scholars, are just trying to be alive, are just trying to quietly and humbly sleep in their tents and other places in Sacramento. And instead they continue to perpetrate these sweeps. It is absolute violence. And one of the things that we're putting forth for our brothers and sisters up there is that some of our conscious wealth hoarders and some of those investors, we hope will come to us so we could actually buy a motel and immediately build permanent housing, AKA homefulness, however folks up there designing for houseless brothers and sisters. And I want to get real about this too, because sometimes those are just things and we hear those words going by. I'm talking about disabled elders. I'm talking about your grandma and your grandpa, your uncle and your auntie, your nephew and your niece. Again, when we say the people you don't see never want to be, look away from me, what you going to do, arrest me? We're talking about all those folks that are just like you and me, but maybe they don't have a roof. And so they don't have the privilege of privacy, but they do have the violence of exposure. And our lives, when we're seen, get to be called messy and dirty. And we get to be called those people or the homeless problem, like we're not human. We're gonna ask if Pastor Collins is on here or anybody from PPHRC over in Philly. Otherwise, we're gonna turn it over and see if we can get Crystal back on here. Leroy, go on to disability.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you know, being a person with a disability.
She stopped.
So being a person with a disability and being an activist under Poor Magazine, I've seen so many policies coming from the city that goes against people with disabilities, laws, civil rights, and our rights. We can go back to the ugly laws where people with disabilities and poor people were mixed together. And under the ugly laws, it's like if you were disabled or, you know, hard on the eyes to see, then you could not be outside. And, you know, we say, okay, the ugly laws are done, over with. No, they're not. They're here in the States, you know, being renamed as, you know, you can't sit down anywhere, you know, putting up benches. I was on a part of Willie Brown's administration, and I saw the action of San Francisco putting up all the benches so you couldn't even sit down. So, you know, people with disabilities and people in poverty are the same. I'm on SSI, I'm on Section 8. Although I have a BA and going for my PhD, I'm still poor. So that is the reality, and the reality is that most of the houseless people all around this world, forget the US, all around this world, are 80% people with disabilities.
Right on, Leroy. And for other folks to know, the powerful work of Leroy is co-founder of Homefulness and founding member of POUR, but also Crip Hop Nation, powerful work, check it out. Also part of the work that we're doing to teach people how to not call the police ever. We want to call in Sister Crystal. She got in, so go for it, Crystal.
Go right out, Crystal.
Unmute your badass.
All right, Crystal.
Hey, how are you all?
Hey, Crystal.
So we are going through some trying times here in Sacramento. Even with our lawsuits, we're going through some extreme sweeps and dealing with what we're dealing with. So we recently had a really bad sweep within our city limits. And again, for those who don't know, our city right now has a restraining order basically to stop sweeps, and they are coming full force. No housing, no resources, and you know, just people's being victimized, taking all their stuff. And we are just looking for some relief at this point.
Thank you, Crystal. And I want to just, if you could just put out how people can support you. As you know, we're also trying to raise community reparations so that we could actually, together as poor people, buy a hotel and get permanent housing. So we're not
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. So you guys can support us through SacramentoHomelessUnion.org. We have some donate links. We are to the point where reparations are definitely needed, but at the same time, I think that we are also at that point where we're ready to willfully take what's ours. And so just supporting that and knowing that our community backs us in what we do is the best support that we can get at this point.
Thank you, Crystal, for all you guys do and powerful work.
Thank you, guys.
Sure. So again, the violence called sweeps, using hygienic metaphors about human beings because we're not considered human. You're looking at a picture of one of our Stolen Land Hoarded Resources tour that we do in communities to make sure that the medicine of us poverty scholars gets shared to wealth hoarders, that is people and college tricksters who continue to think that stealing Mama Earth and creating bankster legislations and more philanthropy grants is the way to solve our problems, but instead never talk to us, never listen to us, never listen to the powerful poverty scholar warriors from Sacramento, Oakland, Frisco. We saw the brother talking about the shelter-in-place motel evictions, but we also know this is global. This isn't just here. Shout out to our brothers and sisters in the Shack Dwellers Union in South Africa, MST, Movimiento Sin Tierra in Brazil, to all the warriors, the indigenous warriors in the Amazon and Southern Turtle Island and Mama Africa, to all of the folks trying to rise up to make sure that poor people's solutions are actually listened to, that indigenous people's solutions are led, are followed, that the ancestors are heard. And in that same tradition, we know that the other place of desecration and colonization and genocide happens with our sisters and brothers in Palestine. We are blessed to have Sister Nora, who's a Poor Magazine family member and also a warrior in the truth around Palestinian rights, and is of that you know, powerful world herself. Nora, welcome. Come on in.
Thank you so much, Tiny, and thank you to Poor Magazine for all of your amazing, ongoing and powerful work. Yeah, it's just amazing to see it still going strong amidst all of your struggles and all the drama and insanity in the world taking place. So much love and solidarity from me and from the people of Palestine, just in general with the indigenous, colonized, and poor people of this land. We know very much what it's like to be like the wrong race, class, religion, etc. And what European colonizers did here, they did and are still very much doing in Palestine. You know, what continues to this day, what started in 1948, just the ethnic cleansing project, that European Zionists came and just destroyed 277 villages and made refugees that, you know, still are being shuffled and, you know, swept off their land. In the same ways that people here, it's really overwhelming to see the images and the parallels. And this is, of course, fully supported and would not be possible with the tax dollars, 3.8 billion of our money that could be spent on our people, our healthcare, our homeless and housing needs. So yeah, one of the main ways they uphold, over 100,000 houses have been demolished since 1948, and that's just one way that they continue the ethnic cleansing, is very much through this appropriation of and theft of land. So one of the main ways they do this is through an apartheid system of permitting and laws, very much, you know, parallel to what I'm hearing all of you sharing. So thank you for, yeah, just raising that awareness. And it's upheld in the same ways by the military, the state, and the settler courts to forcibly remove Palestinians from their homes, literally, and their land. And if they get this, there's literally no, it's impossible to get permits. Even the UN and other international agencies have documented the impossibility. So Israeli authorities regularly raise homes built by Palestinians on their own land, especially in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. And they make them pay to destroy their own homes, or force them to destroy their own homes. The inhumanity is overwhelming, and it's upheld by the courts, which, you know, order these punitive demolitions, whether it's for permitting or in retaliation for alleged, you know, crime the colonial settlers deem, or they just want to take it over. Like they just come right in. Like to this day, they're ongoing, yeah, just entitlement and perversion of, yeah, the land is really it makes it clear that the only way that we can live together is by decolonizing the land, dismantling these structures of, yeah, just domination, control. And yeah, I think through our work together, you know, we can continue to learn and build. And yeah, from the ashes, we will decolonize and de-earth Mama Earth. So much love and solidarity to you all, and let's build. This is our time.
Whee!
Yeah.
Thank you, Noda. And you know, it's powerful because I know we're running out of time. We only have about 15 more minutes left, and we have a couple more things. We want to open it up if folks have questions, but I do want to say that we live in tents because we can't pay your rent. While bringing in Sister Momi to talk, the reality is that, as we all know, this bullshit eviction moratorium that most of these scam lords don't even honor is actually even ending. So the little bit of protection, air quotes, that we had is ending on February 1st. And there's many warriors, including Poor Magazine, who work on this every day, to all the cancel rent movement folks, to the work of ACE, and to Coalition on Homelessness and San Francisco Tenants Union, and many more who are always on this issue. We want to also lift this up in this moment, because one of the reasons for this legislation is, again, to get rid of the lie of rent, which is an absolute embedded violence that's connected to the selling of Mama Earth. Momi, do you want to say a couple words about what's going on?
Well, the building I'm in is going through a lot of trauma right now, because there are people that are paying rent and still not getting their full money's worth for this rent that we're supposed to pay. There's a lot of fear. I'm sorry to say that that fear causes a lot of divisions. And what's reflective of all over the United States is that people are outright getting evicted during this crisis. Not that it is any different before this crisis, but the inhumanity is so deep that who cares if you get a rent increase during COVID? So we're dealing with a lot of stuff right now. There's people that don't have heat in their apartments. They're still paying full rent. the contradictions with the landlord, who they take as truth, and that's the law. That fear is really stagnating our abilities to unite. But we're not giving up. There are people that are not paying rent. There are people that are very upset with the management, and we're on the verge of doing another petition. We've done petitions in the past before COVID, and they were successful in getting something done, but it was only temporary. So I can only say that this may be the situation with other tenants in Oakland area, that that fear has caused them to either move away, go to another state. Their fear is also in the inability to speak out, that they will be ridiculed or much more put out, and the fear of being houseless is very real.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mommy.
Yeah, thanks, Moni. So individual land resource experience, community reparations, and radical redistribution starts here. Not only in poor and indigenous peoples reclaiming this occupied indigenous land, but the idea and knowledge of your own scholars. So we can build our own solutions. This medicine was released in the book of our own Poor People Theory, we call Poverty Scholarship. Poor People Led Theory, Art, Words, and Tears Across Mama Earth. You'll see the cover of the book. Yeah. So this is not a Ford Foundation grant. Repeat, this is not a Ford Foundation grant. It's a much longer story, which we teach in people's school and share with any other poor folks who want to create this. Once again, it's not a Ford Foundation grant.
It's not any philanthropimping, family. That's seems like a really big idea. And it is in some ways, because we've all been taught in this occupied land that wealth hoarders, by design, just because they have access to money, resources, skin privilege, formal education privilege, somehow they have more knowledge about how to use bloodstained dollars. But one of the interesting things is that we say, as poor people have had to put together a meal and keep a roof over our babies' heads with less than $300 a month, have probably a lot more knowledge about what to do with very little money. And certainly we have a lot more knowledge about how to survive and thrive, and turn and do what we call blood-stained dollars into love-stained dollars. A shout out to anybody who's watching, who's interested in learning more about this. We do workshops. We'll come to your street corner, university, organization, or encampment, anywhere on Mama Earth, and share this medicine. You can also get this book at poorpress.net, and we sell it starting at $0 for fellow poverty scholars, all the way up to whatever wealth hoarders can pay. But one of the crucial things about that is we have a thing called People School, where us poverty scholars teach our scholarship around community reparations. And if people are more interested in that, also they can, the next People School is coming up on January 30th and 31st. And if somebody could write in the chat the link, but it's www.racepovertymediajustice.org, and that's how you can apply. And it's never something that you can't get into because you answered the wrong question or you didn't have enough fake AKKdemia credits on your transcript. Shouts out to my Mama D. Also shouts out to Brother JV of Free Aswan. I think he joined us late. I just want everybody to know. We also do People School for Poverty Scholars. And Aswan Nation is doing a study group. We're doing our healing, poetry as medicine writing and story development group. And we also do Poor Press. And there's a lot of powerful books by Dee Allen, Leroy Moore, Moteado Silencio, Angel Heart, so many more in there as well that people can get. But I wanna just excitedly turn this over for a minute to one of our reparators. So if people wonder, well, how the fuck did these poor people do this? Are they just hiding they money? No, we don't got 2 nickels to put together. And we don't make money helping ourselves. I don't take a salary. Dee doesn't take a salary. Leroy don't take a salary because in a poor people-led movement, what we're doing is actually trying to lift off the bloodstained dollar economy. So what we do is we teach folks with race and class privilege about the notion of radical sharing, community reparations, and radical redistribution. These are concepts that we came up with after 22 years of poverty and homelessness, of continually trying to push our heads against the politrickster system that was never built for us or by us, but was always.
Yeah, and we also tried the nonprofit way. Tiny and I wrote grants back in the day over and over again. So yeah.
So we're going to call in Sister Ellery, one of our powerful conscious wealth hoarders, who helped to continue the Bank of Community Reparations, which supports hundreds of families getting into motels right now in a pandemic, because politricksters don't, who supports folks getting their utilities turned on, and supports getting mattresses if you don't got one, and as little as getting, your teeth fixed. When you PO, guess what? You don't got money for dental care. Ellery?
I just want to say it helped me to get out of my bed bug infection yesterday apartment. Yeah.
It's real. Ellery?
Hey everybody. It's really an honor to be here. And Tiny, you said it, you really said it. Yeah, I'm here to represent Solidarity Fam, which is a huge network of people with race or class or education privilege that stand shoulder to shoulder, because there is no other option. There is no other option. And as Tiny said, in 2018, we launched together the Bank of Community Reparations Through Poor, and it is based on the undeniable truth of interconnectedness. This is the medicine that is offered, and it is an essential piece to survival. If anybody on here is thinking about going to People's School, I highly encourage it. It is not a 101 class. It is not a 101 class. It is a deeply needed piece of medicine, and it is rooted in love, and it is rooted in truth. As we can see, it's essential. The effects we see at the Capitol, the separation nation, that root, it is essential medicine that is offered through Poor. The People's School coming up January 30th. I just want to shout it out. And the medicine, it's not only just about affecting our lives and healing ourselves, but that goes to our parents, that goes to our ancestors, up the legacy line. And that is the only option. I will say it again, it is the only option. So January 30th, the link is in there. And that's what we do. That's what we do.
Oh my God.
Right on, Ellery.
Thank you, Ellery. All right.
Up to everybody.
Leroy, where are we at now? Because I know we got to close out and letting people know about.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to the city attorney's part, right?
Yep. Yes. Tibu, if you can bring up the numbers on the screen while Leroy's talking. Go ahead, Leroy.
Which numbers, sorry?
The end of the outline, the city attorney's numbers.
The affordable housing permit fee.
No, at the very end, it's on the outline.
Oh,
or
okay.
you can put it in the chat.
Okay, Let me see if I can do that. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
So we are asking for the community support in getting this legislation passed. This will enable other poor, houseless, landless people movement to actually build our own self-determined solution to poverty and homelessness and resist the ongoing lies profiting off of and condominication of land and housing properties by the wealth hoarding, land stealing class currently after Rebecca Kaplan's office proposed it. It has since stalled in the city attorney's office. We are asking people to blast the city attorney's office to get this back to the city council for a vote in February. So we're asking people to contact the city attorney's office, call them, email them. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, since we have a limited amount of time left, I want to ask if there's any questions that any of you who participated here today want to ask us. And we're narrowing it down to 2 or 3 questions.
If not,
What are your plans for the future and going forward? Like anything going on this year of 2021 that we should know about?
That's a good question,
Yeah.
Mr. Jack Manel. Yes, said by a powerful youth scholar. It's an interesting point because one of the things that we're doing is in February, which of course is Black History Minute, it needs to be the whole year, but all the time, every day is Black History Month. But we're going to be doing our land blessing of Homefulness 2 and pulling up of the asphalt on Black Arthur of the second piece of land that the youth scholars and mama and uncle scholars made possible, along with the conscious wealth warriors. It's at 7600 Black Arthur. It's a historic day because we'll be pulling up the asphalt and beginning the
Bring your own shovel and your own pig. Yes.
Cleaning that land, because we know one of the things that happens in our poor people neighborhoods is they continue to intentionally poison the land. So this spot used to be a gas station, and although it got a clean report from the politricksters, we know that our multi-nation prayer, which has already been happening there, thanks to Karina and Katana and Brother Mink and Sochi and Sauda and many more, and OG Rev and others, we're continuing to remember and understand and listen to the land and heal it. So it will be on the second Saturday in February. I don't have that date, but we are asking folks to help with that. And the next thing we'll be doing is an all community meeting where we're asking the community, what do you want? How do you see the housing? We're going to be really looking and listening to what 7600 Black Arthur wants for 76 Black Arthur. That's how we always move, and we will never stop that. And in addition, over the summer, we'll be going on the road to share the template and the medicine of homefulness, to launch Poor News Network incubator hubs, so other poverty scholars in Tejas, and so-called Washington, and all across Mama Earth can lift up their own voices and make sure that it's not continuing to make more about us, without us media and AKKdemia. Thank you for that great question, Kimo. Anyone else?
Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Iris, and I live in Berkeley. And do you have a link to the legislation that you put forward with Rebecca's help so I can take a look at it?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that. We don't have a link. We're gonna post it on our site, but Tibu, it's attached to this email that you got. So why don't you pull it up? And then Rebecca, what we'll do is by later today, or sorry, I called you Rebecca. I know, we'll put it on poormagazine.org. It's an attachment, Tibu, it's an attachment.
Well, if it's gonna be on your site, I can just look at it
Yeah, that's
later.
fine. It's right there. I was just wanted to bring it up anyway. Tibu, it's the very end, affordable housing legislation. But yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for reminding us. We will get it up by today.
How long has it been sitting there?
Good question again. Rebecca's office, we'll actually shout out to Bobby Lopez and Rebecca Ruiz from Anti-Police Terror Project and POOR. They, along with our help, wrote this, but put it in all the legalese. And Rebecca tried to propose it in October, and actually it got stalled. And she hasn't been able to get it out of city attorney's office since then.
Okay.
It is a situation.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I worked for a long time for the city, so, you know, I think there's also pressuring the city administrator, which is who the city attorney reports to. And so if there's any interest in that, I could talk to you later and I could help with that if you're.
Please.
Yeah.
Could you put the, our email is poormag@gmail.com. Poormag, yeah, @gmail.com. If people want to follow up questions, get in touch with us, but we would love that. So yeah, and any other, you know, inquiries on this. We are asking people to call city attorney's office because, right, Rebecca's office, Kimberly Jones, who met with us the other day, said it does matter at this point to get community pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. We will follow up with you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we got time for one last question before we check out. Anything else?
Hello. I was wondering, is there going to be a recording available?
Of this, sure. We're gonna post it.
On YouTube.
We'll post it on our YouTube channel,
Got it.
Poor News Network. Thank you for asking.
And I've heard that the city attorney has been holding this legislation for months. What is the city attorney actually does with it before passing it on to the full board?
Did you want to answer that, Era? Did you? I don't know if Iris.
Sure. Is it okay if I chime in?
Yes, please.
The city attorney's role, besides stopping everything, is to look at the legality, in theory, of the legislation. And so, you know, she's going to look at precedent, and I mean, they go all the way from looking at what's already been passed in city legislation to doing, you know, spell check. So they could be holding this up for a whole number of reasons, which includes political reasons, because the city attorney is an elected official, just like the city council and the mayor. So, you know, it depends what her relationships are as well. If she's a person who does not have a good relationship with Rebecca, she's more likely to put this proposal at the bottom of the pile. So I think what you're saying in terms of community pressure is really important. And it could also be now pressure on some of the newer council members who would be in favor of this, like Carol Fife and Nikki Boss, for example.
Yeah. We did actually shout out to Carol Fife, who did actually say that she's completely down with this and is going to be helping us. shout out to Nikki Fortunato Bass, who actually met with us. They're with it as well. And we are meeting with the other, council people. I mean, thanks to, to Clementine in our volunteer group and Caitlin, who've been trying to set those meetings up. Let's just say it hasn't been that easy, but we're not stopping. And also shout out to Lauren Taylor of District 6, because he met with us the other day and he said he's down as well. So there you go.
Shout out to the secretary from, who said?
Kimberly Jones from.
Kimberly
Rebecca.
Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, big shout out to Tacoma Housing First, who was our guest for Community Newsroom this month, and who gave us the third and last question.
I say. We have to close out. I just want to say one last thing. We did this as part of MLK, Reclaim MLK Weekend. Really appreciate Anti-Police Terror Project, Kat Brooks, Terha, Rebecca Ruiz, and so many more who lifted this work up and supported it. We really appreciate you. Also want to shout out to Tiburcio Garcia, the share screen at the last minute, to all the beautiful youth scholars, Amir, Zaire, Kimo, Akil, Fabian, and all the Mama scholars, Amin Ra as well, and Mama Tanika Blue, and Jason, and Mutiado Israel, D. Allen, Leroy, Farrell Bungen, Momi. There's so many more. And also to the folks who aren't here today, like Queen Nandi Ekshiba, to Karina Gold, to beautiful Sister Junebug, and so many more in our village who couldn't even be here today. We just are just wanting to lift up that, Dr. Martin Luther King walked with and listened to poor people all across Mama Earth.
Yes.
And we have been living, praying, and walking in that tradition since the beginning of the work of Poor Magazine, when me and Ma were living in the backseat of our car on shelter benches, or if we were lucky, inside of a shelter.
Our efforts to free Mama Earth is our Poor People's Campaign.
Exactly. So we're going to close out with a prayer. If people can close their eyes and pray with us. This is not a prayer that's in a secular tradition. This is a prayer that's for Mama Earth and ancestors. Gracias, Criador y Criadora, por este día de nuestra vida. Thank you, Creator, for another day of life. Thank you, ancestors of this land, Lashan Ohlone, ancestors and the descendants still here 528 years later, who continue to steward Mama Earth, who continue to live even through the genocide of colonization. Thank you to all of our Black and brown and poor people on these stolen streets who have died because of the lie of police terror, of Americlan's safety, and of the violence called sweeps. Special shout out to Shannon Marie Bagley, Desiree Quintero, Papa Bear, Luis Dimitro Gongara Pat, George Floyd, Piri Tomas, Dr. Tina Soleil, Lori McElroy, Mama D, Uncle Al, and so many more. We're walking with you in our hearts every day. Thank you to all of the warriors who have been with us on this call today and their work, and continue to the ancestors of all the warriors on this call with us, and to the youth scholars for their next 7 generations of liberation. Thank you to Mama Earth, for without whom there would be no us. Thank you to all of us. Ashe, Aho, Omateo, Alafia.
Omateo.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you. And
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Let's keep this fight up. Please call that city attorney or email one of those 2 numbers. It really does matter. And let's keep building. Let's keep building and manifesting. We're going to end with our chant.
Yes.
Change won't come from a savior, a pimp, or institution. Change will only come from the poor people.
Revolution Day.
Oh, P-O-O, till we die. The revolution is what I. P-O-O, the revolution begins with I. P-O-O, scholars till we die. Revolution begins with I. Hey, Zaire, hey, Mama Audrey. We love you, family. Talk very soon. Let's keep this up. Bye. Bye.
We love you too. Not for what you do, but for who you are.
Thank you.
Love you guys. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you, JB. Thank you to all the sisters and brothers of Trias Land. To all the warriors here today. Thank you, Ruthie, for all your help and work. Love you guys. Bye.